Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today we're going to be hooking up the Alula Back Connect. This is a great universal communicator for use with Alula services. It's got 3 modes of communication. It can use cellular, LTE, it's got Ethernet for IP, and it can also connect to Wi-Fi for IP over Wi-Fi as well. Now this is a universal communicator, meaning it can work with any system that's out there to an extent. There are some that are more compatible than others, like the Power Series 1832, 1864. It works amazing with. You can even hook up a PC Link connection to it. But for the DSC Neo, which is a newer system, you can only do key switch arming, and you don't get any interactive features when using Alula. So there are some caveats to it. It has a compatibility chart on our website, so you can check that out and see how well it's going to work with your system and see if it is the right fit for you. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to hop over. I'm going to go through the manual and just cover a few things that are different about it than if we were an installer being at your house setting it all up for you. Ours is done all online, and there's a few steps that I'm going to go over that are specific to our setups. So I'm gonna hop over, I'll show you the manual, and then I'll show you how to wire it, and then we'll get you up and going. So for programming in Alula Back Connect, I'm not gonna go through and pull up the panel programming and walk through it step by step, because Alula does an amazing job of giving directions in their manual. I'm just gonna go over a few short things, kind of just cut out any sort of confusion that may be present with the programming. Otherwise, follow this manual step by step and you will be perfectly fine. So, whenever you flip to the DSC Power Series programming, the first couple steps you are going to skip. So step 1, where it says set up the account, skip that, we do that. Step 2, enter the master code, we do that as well. So you'll basically be starting at step 3. So step 3 is disarm the system, pretty obvious. 4, enter panel programming, and that's where you're going to do your programming at. So the first step here is enable the communicator. And that one's very simple. You go to 380, you turn on option 1. The second and third options are a little tricky. On our side, whenever you set up central station with us, what we do is basically block the panel from directly sending signals, and we forward it from Alula. So for these 2 options, where it says enter a telephone number in 301 and enter an account number in 310, you don't need to enter any specific account number. They can be dummy numbers. So you can do all 9s, all 0s. Essentially, you just need something programmed in there so the system knows to send out a signal. Everything after that, you need to go through and check and make sure that all these settings are on. After those first few options, basically you're just verifying that all these are still set the way they should be. Most of them are this way by default, but just go through and open up the programming section that it says and make sure that option is on or off depending on what the instruction is. The only other thing you'll need to do once you go through and verify all this information is after you powered up your panel, after the Alula Back Connect is wired up, you will need to go into programming section 902, and what that is going to do is it's going to re-enroll any new modules or delete any that aren't there anymore. So after you do that, check 903, and it's going to show a PC 5400, and that is what this enrolls as on a DSC Power Series. So as long as you see one PC 5400, that means the Back Connect is enrolled, and that is when you will check the LED lights on the Back Connect and make sure that you're getting signal, your panel bus light is on. I'm going to cover that after I show you the wiring here in a second, but just check the LEDs that I'm going to mention, and as long as those are good, then you should be good to go. We'll do a test. We'll give you instructions through email on how to test your system and make sure you're sending signals properly. But let's hop over to the wiring and installation, and we will talk about that. Alright, so we are at the panel, the 1864 that we have, and for the Alula Back Connect you will need 6 wires. Those 6 wires are going to go across the 2 aux terminals for power, the yellow and green for communication as a keypad for the interactive side, and the last two will be for the ring and tip for sending signals out. So I'm going to wire the red and black to the aux plus and negative, and the yellow and green, or white and green in this case, to the yellow and green keypad terminals. And that is all the panel wiring that you need to do on the DSC Power Series. Now, on the back connect to wire this up, we are going to be putting the red wire on the 12-volt terminal, the black wire on the ground, the yellow wire on the yellow in, and the green wire on the green in. Now, for the ring and tip connection, you will just match those up with the phone terminals here, ring and tip, to whatever you wired them to in the panel. So I used yellow for ring, and I used green for tip. So we're going to replicate that. So this is what your final product should look like. Now, once you have powered up your back connect, you'll see a bunch of LEDs come on. The main ones you want to keep an eye out for are these ones at the top. This one on the far right at the very top is the power. Make sure that you are getting power, so at least you know your power wires are wired correctly. Second one is panel bus. What that means is it's properly connected through the data wires to your panel. Over here, we have 3 LEDs at the top, and then 4 right next to each other, and an update LED. Top one on the right is for cellular signal. If this is green, then you have a decent cellular connection. These 3 lights that are lit up right here show your signal strength. Right now we have 3 LEDs lit up, which means we have 3 bars of signal strength. More than enough to run this panel. The second LED here is for Wi-Fi connection if you have enabled Wi-Fi and connected it to your router. The third one is for Ethernet. So if you have an Ethernet cable connected to it, this will be green, showing you have good connection. The only other LED we need to worry about is over here. So this one right here indicates a trouble. So you can actually see this if we close the panel, and it just turned green right there. It's kind of hard to see in the reflection, but it's green. If it was yellow, that would mean we have a trouble. The reason it's showing yellow when we open it is because the tamper is not being depressed. So until you close this, this will be yellow. So when you think everything's good to go ahead and close it. Make sure that that light changes green. If it shows green, then you are good to go. And that is all the installation you will have to do on the Alula back connect. Just make sure your events are reporting to Alula Connect properly, and once you have verified that and made sure that your signals are getting sent to central station accurately, then your activation and installation is done. If you're also using the PC Link cable for label capture on the DSC Power Series, you will take the 4 open-ended wires of the PC Link cable. You will connect red to the TD on the PC Link terminals, black to the RD. Both the yellow and green wires are going to go to ground. So we'll open up ground terminal. So if you are using the PC Link cable as well, this is what your final product will look like. If you are using the PC Link cable, you will connect the PC Link Quick Connect to the PC Link terminals right here, with the red wire on the left as you're looking at the panel. So if you have the PC Link cable connected, like I just showed, this little section on the next page of the DSC programming will tell you how to essentially manually sync your system. If you have it connected when you first power up the bat, it will go in and it will pull zone definitions and it will pull labels, and it should do all that automatically. If anything doesn't show up the first time, you can go to programming section 499 and basically force it to resync and re-pull all that information. So if you have the PC link cable connected, use this portion of the manual to double check everything is enrolled and labeled properly and that it's showing up properly on Alula. Now, if we ever need to go into programming on your system, which is very uncommon, you will need to have that PC link cable connected. More than likely, you will never need to do this. The Alula Back Connect is set up to run on its own and set up its own firmware, and essentially you should never need for us to go into programming. But if you do, then this section also covers that. Now, like I said, 99% of the time you're not going to need it, but you will need to have that PC link cable connected if we are ever going to pull up programming on your system. The instructions for wiring it are right here, but I just covered that. So otherwise, Alula, like I said, does an amazing job of giving instructions in their manual for each system, DSC in particular. So just read through this, verify all those options. If you need to use this section here to force it to resync, you can do that. Otherwise, everything is complete. Once your labels are all showing and we've tested your signal, you're good to go. You should never have to mess with this again.